and welcome to another BookTube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books, on a very wet and windy Sunday. And you will probably be watching this also on a wet and windy Sunday, as the plan is to film this and get it uploaded. So yeah, it's grim out there, really grim. But today, not grim, we're going to be talking about, excuse me, cosmic dust. We're going to be talking about books that I've got out from the library. So I've been going wild, rampant with the library reservations, because obviously I've been watching people's best books of the year, and that's been applying a lot and putting on a lot of reservations because of that. And I'm excited to show you 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 books I've currently got out from the library. I can't remember whose best books of the year they were. I can't, there's been so many. There's also been books in there that I've picked up when I've been browsing, just because of certain things that are happening this year, and books that have caught my eye. Let's start with My Friends by Hisham Matar. I'm saying I can't remember. I think this might have been on Simon's Best Books of the Year. Khalid and Mustafa met at university in Edinburgh, 2 Libyan 18-year-olds expecting to return home after their studies. In a moment of recklessness and courage, they travelled to London to join a demonstration in front of the Libyan embassy. When government officials open fire on protesters in broad daylight, both friends are wounded and their lives are changed forever. Over the years that follow, Khalid, Mustafa and their friend Hozam, a writer, are bound together by their shared history. If friendship is a space to inhabit, theirs becomes small and inhospitable when a revolution in Libya forces them to choose between the lives they've created in London and the lives they've left behind. So this sounds amazing. I was also very taken by it because it is in paperback, and I'm growing further and further attached to hardbacks. So yeah, Pulitzer Prize winning book shortlisted author, apparently. So yeah, very excited about that. Then I just picked up in there The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton, which is, it was unusual that I saw this, because I was thinking about Stuart Turton's first book that I'd read, which is called well, it says here it's called The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I thought it was called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Which I really liked. It was sort of like a murder mystery told in a sort of time, like where you could jump between time zones and all of that sort of thing. And like, even thinking about it now, I can't think how it ended, but I remember being really very much involved in the process and enjoying it. I never got round to reading The Devil and the Dark Water, which I actually owned and got rid of. It was I owned it in paperback and I got rid of it. I bought it secondhand. I think maybe I just wasn't that interested in it, but this felt that the title spoke to me. The fact it's paperback and small as well, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll be into this. So this is here. The countdown has begun. Abby keeps them safe. 122 islanders and their 3 beloved scientists live in harmony, kept safe from a poisonous fog behind a security barrier with the help of Abby's instructions. Nima keeps the islanders occupied. Nima is one of the scientists who remembers what life was like before the fog. She ensures that all of the islanders have a job to do, and everyone loves her, almost everyone. Emery can't stop asking questions, but then one of the scientists is found dead, and their murder triggers the dropping of the security barrier. The only way to reinstate it is to find the killer, but can Emery ask the right questions? They have 107 hours to solve the murder before the fog sweeps in. Can they stop the end of their world? And I just thought that sounded sort of like pressurized, and yeah, I thought it sounded great. So hopefully we'll get round to that at some point as well. Then I've got hardback, All Fours by Miranda July. Somebody who I know had recommended this. She said she was reading it at the time and she was like, it's amazing, it's just bonkers. I'm really enjoying it. And then it was on the Sarah Cox show, Between the Covers, and I really enjoyed hearing them talk about it. It's about a woman who leaves for work one day, leaves her husband and daughters for work one day, and then just decides to pitch up in a local hotel, and then spends loads of money like decorating this hotel room and making herself really, really comfortable when her family are at home. I think that's what it's about. But yeah, it sounded like, it just sounds mad. So it says here, an irreverently sexy, tender, hilarious and surprising novel about a woman upending her life. There we go. A semi-famous artist announces her plan to drive cross-country from LA to NY. 20 minutes after leaving her husband and child at home, she spontaneously exits the freeway, beds down in a nondescript motel, and immerses herself in a temporary reinvention, that turns out to be the start of an entirely different journey. So yeah, this has got loads of reservations on it, and I've had to wait for like 5 months for it. 5 months? 4 months for it, maybe? It was definitely like September maybe that is 5 months. So I think this is going to be one that I'm going to be getting to sooner rather than later. Then I have started a crochet course. I have taken part in a crochet course on a Monday evening that I've been going to, and I've not taken to it like a duck to water. I've not done particularly well with it. In fact, it's been a real struggle. Actually, I'll show you. So the first day we were supposed, let me get the stuff and then I'll show you. During the first session we were supposed to complete a coaster, which I have done. However, it was not right. So here is the coaster that I completed. But I was pushing it through 1 loop when I was supposed to be pushing it through 2. So apparently I've created a whole new stitch. So when I was trying to edge it, as I've tried to do on this one, I was finding it particularly difficult to edge it. I need to sew these bits in so that that is a completed piece of work. Then the next thing we were supposed to be doing was making a mug cozy, which I have done. This isn't quite as big as it's supposed to be. But this is with what I believe the US call double crochet, and I don't know what the UK people call it, but it is not neat, but it is also not wrong. It's sort of, it is taking the shape that it's supposed to, and the stitch I can see there is the stitch it's supposed to be. So what I have done, because Carla, who runs the class, wanted us to have 6 rows of that double crochet done in time for the class, which is tomorrow night. So when I was at Hobbycraft yesterday, I picked up this called Flutterbee Chunky Knit, which is something I'm struggling with. Is the wool keeps sort of separating and I'm pulling through bits that I shouldn't be pulling through and leaving bits behind that I shouldn't. But this sort of like synthetic, very soft but very synthetic wool isn't in strands, so I was thinking maybe that will be harder for me to go wrong with. And David and I are going to watch a film tonight, so I think I'm going to crack on with that tonight. That's the plan. That's the crochet, but also I got this out from the library just because I saw it. They had quite a lot of crochet books in there, but this one looked sort of cool, and it also says cool contemporary crochet for the creatively minded, and it's got some really fun stuff in here. And there was already a few things I saw in here that I thought would make great presents for people I know. One of which was these lovely gloves, little fingerless gloves, which I really liked. And I mean, I'm nowhere near to being able to follow a pattern, but I just really liked the stuff in there, and I'm going to take this along to one of the classes. The other one was something my dad would like, and that was a log carrier, because he's got a fire at home. Can't see a picture. Oh, there's a picture of the finished log carrier, and his wood store is outside, so that'll be helpful for him. And then the last thing I really liked was for my cousin Laura's husband Tom. I mean, there's loads of stuff I want to make in here, but this one, I really liked this, and I think he would also really like it, which was this can carrier. So yeah, those are 3 things in there that I would like to make. It's Tom's birthday next month. There's no way I'm going to get around to making those. But like, there was things in there that I really liked and thought were really cool. So I would like to eventually get to being able to maybe read a pattern. I obviously need to get sorted out what sort of steps I'm following, whether I'm following like the UK steps or the US steps, because that will make the difference there. So there we go. And then I've got Whisky Business, which was on Jean's Best Books of the Year. It just looked so fun, by Elliot Fletcher. Look at that front cover, it's proper lol. I was with my sister when I picked this up and she was like, why are you getting that? I just thought it sounded really fun. It's also set on a Scottish island, so I'm up for that. One flirty Hollywood actress, one grumpy Scottish islander, one magnetic connection. When her acting career hits rock bottom, Hollywood star April Sinclair returns to her Scottish hometown on the Isle of Skye to lick her wounds. God, can you hear that rain and the wind and rain? Can you hear it? In desperate need of distraction, she sets her sights on restoring her family whiskey distillery to its former glory. But she wasn't expecting short-tempered and totally irresistible Malcolm McCabe, oh, never dealt with a sexy Malcolm before, to be the one in charge. Master distiller Mal has 3 loves in his life: whiskey, his dog, and silence. He has no time for the pampered princess, even if said princess is the one who got away. She'll grow bored and run back to her glamorous world eventually, but their shared desire to save the distillery will mean working a lot closer than either of them might wish. So I only tend to read books like this around Christmas, and I always have quite an enjoyable time with them. Sadly, I didn't get around to reading The Christmas Tree Farm, which was the one that I wanted to read in the series, because there's 2 more out this year. But yeah, I thought this would, that's a separate series, but I thought maybe this would scratch an itch this time round. Then I've got How to Say Babylon by Safia Sinclair, which was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for non-fiction last year. I actually got it out from the library and didn't get around to reading it, because then the Women's Prize for fiction came out, and I'm much more of a fiction reader than I am a non-fiction reader. But I've got this back out from the library. It appeared on somebody's best books of the year, and yeah, I really want to read it. So, born in Montego Bay, Jamaica, where luxury hotels line pristine sand beaches, Safia Sinclair grew up guarding herself against an ever-present threat. Her father, a believer in a militant sect of Rastafari, growled against Babylon, the corrupting influence of the Western world. To protect the purity of the women in his family, he forbade almost all freedoms. His mother tried to bring joy to her family, bring joy to her children with books and poetry, but Safia's burgeoning independence brought with it ever greater clashes with her father. If she was to become the woman and writer she wanted to be, she knew she had to find a way to leave home. This is the unforgettable story of a young woman's determination to live life on her own terms. I think it sounds great. I think it sounds a little bit like Educated by Tara Westover, which I read a few years ago and really enjoyed. So yeah, I mean, if I don't get around to maybe reading this actual copy of it, maybe I'll listen to the audiobook of it. Safia Sinclair's also a poet, so I imagine there's some beautiful writing in here. There we go. Then another one from someone's best books of the year was I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. Little slip of a thing, this one, shouldn't take me too long. Not even 200 pages, guys. Deep underground, 39 women live imprisoned in a cage. Oh no, thank you. Watched over by guards, these women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only vague recollections of their lives before. As the burn of electric light merges day into night and numberless years pass, a young girl, the 40th prisoner, sits alone and outcast in the corner, but soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above. Sounds horrifying, but sounds good. Can't remember who this one was on. This is a thriller, The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. It's in 1950. At the crumbling Idlewild School for Unwanted Girls, 4 roommates begin to bond over dark secrets and whispered fears until one of them mysteriously disappears. Present day, journalist Fiona Sheridan can't get over the murder of her sister 20 years ago near the ruins of Idlewild. When another body is found during renovations of the school, she'll begin to uncover horrors that were meant to remain buried and a voice that won't be silenced. So in terms of thrillers, I don't read many thrillers, but when I do, I like to be sort of, you guessed it, thrilled by them and entertained. And something I do like in a thriller is for something to have happened in the past and for somebody to be looking into it now. So yeah, hopefully that's going to really work for me. This one's also got a lot of reservations on, so I need to read this one fast as well. Maybe I need to read this one before I read all 4s, because I think this one's due back first. This is The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams, which I've also got out from the library before. I don't remember getting it out from the library before, but it said when I reserved it that I'd reserved it before. Motherless and irrepressibly curious, Esme spends her childhood at her father's feet as he and his team gather words for the very first Oxford English Dictionary. One day she sees a slip of paper containing a forgotten word flutter to the floor unclaimed, and so Esme begins to collect words for another dictionary in secret, the Dictionary of Lost Words. But to do so, she must journey into a world on the cusp of change as the Great War looms and women fight for the vote. Can the power of lost words from the past finally help her make sense of her future? Like historical fiction, like word stuff, like things about girls coming of age, feels like I will like it. We'll see. But yeah, I think maybe, I've said I need to start all 4s first, but maybe I need to start this one first. Maybe. That's due back before. Then I've got Fire Exit. Can't even hold it up. Fire Exit by Morgan Touty. Don't even know if there's a blurb for this. Yeah, it is. A lone white man lives beside a river on the edge of the Penobscot Reservation for Maine. Penobscot. Charles spends his days doing odd jobs, looking after his mother as her lifelong depression intensifies and staring across the water to the reservation at the house in which his daughter Elizabeth has grown up. She doesn't know he exists. Charles spent his own childhood on the same reservation with a native stepfather who treated him as a son until tragedy struck, leaving a burning hole at the centre of their lives. As an adult, Charles was forced to leave the reservation. When his first love, Mary, found out she was pregnant, she decided to conceal their daughter's true heritage in order to ensure Elizabeth's tribal enrolment. In her 20s now, Elizabeth is struggling. Observed from afar by a real father who can see the connection between his daughter and his mother, the cracks in the foundations of Elizabeth's lives are beginning to show. As firmly as Charles believes the truth will set them all free, the price of it may be the destruction of them all. Fire Exit is a novel of exceptional heart. It's a deeply layered family story that shows how quickly kinship can break, reform, fade or strengthen us, while always remaining a part of who we are. Interesting. And the author is a citizen of the Penobscot Indian Nation. Also written other stories. Night of the Living Res. Sounds like it's going to be really good. Then I've got Moon Road by Sarah Leipziger. Hardback. Catherine and Yannick have not spoken for 19 years, not since what happened with their daughter. Now there's unexpected news from the other side of the country and the call for a road trip can only make together. As they rattle over 2,000 miles in a pickup, through forests, over mountains and into service stations, an alluring history reveals itself of fierce love, complicated ex-wives and headstrong children, and of a unique bond that never really went away. As they drive, argue, gossip and reminisce, an unexpected future for this once estranged couple begins to emerge. There we go. Do I like a road trip novel? Maybe. Just interested in... That hasn't grabbed me, but let's have a look at the first line and see what happens. Oh, starts with a map. That has grabbed me, of Canada. From Tofino, all the way through British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. A woman sleeping in a tree is the first line. We shall see. And then the last one is Like Perpetual by Frances Spufford, which was longlisted for the 2021 Booker Prize. I can't remember whose best books of the year this was on either, but set in November 1944. I've really settled into how much I enjoy sort of like war or post-war books and films and things like that, which was something that I always really avoided, but now I'm really into it. A German rocket strikes London and 5 young children are atomised in an instant. Here are the futures they may have known had they experienced the unimaginable changes of the 20th century, futures that illuminate the miraculous in every day and the preciousness of life itself. Yeah, so I remember, oh God, who was it that was talking about it? Sarah, I think, saying that this is sort of about these lives of these children that died during this explosion, but what their lives could have been like, and you get very involved in what their lives could have been like, and then sadly remember that those lives didn't even really happen. Maybe a little bit like Atonement, maybe a little bit like that. But yeah, so there we go. Some great books. I think I'm going to prioritise the ones that are due back first, so the Dictionary of Lost Words and All Fours, and I also think maybe My Friends has also got some reservations on it. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what books you've got out from the library at the moment. I hope you're having a lovely windy and wet Sunday, and I'll see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye!